Welcome back to Ready to Sakshi. First of all, we want to thank you for subscribing to us and sending us much love and appreciation with your emails and your feedbacks. We really are very, very thankful, and with all our heart, we want to thank you for all the support and all the sharing. I cannot believe, Brother Naren, if you remember on Facebook page, over 3,000 likes or 4,000, recently I think 5,000 likes. Amazing, tremendous. We never expected it. All praise to God.
Thank
honestly.
you.
And I'd like to say that whatever we have thought, actually things are working and the fruits are on the way. Hope we continue this way. Now, without wasting any time further, we would like come back to the question. Brother, if you remember, I was discussing with you over phone. So we have lots of users on Facebook, and one of the user from Facebook has a very important question, which brings both science and the Bible together in a contrast.
That's interesting.
So we have a Facebook user. The name is Akima. I think the last name I don't know how to pronounce. So please accept my apology if the name is pronounced incorrectly. It's Harasel.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Akima Rachel.
Okay. H-R-A-H-S-E-L. So what Akima asked is in Genesis, and I'll read out as per the quotation. It was in Genesis. It was written that Adam and Eve, they have two sons, Cain and Abel. Now, according to the Bible, Cain had a wife. Where did she come from? When there was nobody before them.
Okay.
And at the same time, it is so strange because, of course, not only Akima, but I believe this specific question must be in all of your minds, that how is it possible that Adam and Eve, two people, okay, now they have children, Cain and Abel. Now Abel is killed, Cain is left. But at the same time, Cain has a wife, Cain has children, Cain has family. What is this about?
What's going on? Whom did Cain marry? Let me summarize that question. Whom did Cain marry? Excellent. Well, see, that's a very, very important question, and when I first started reading the Bible, that's what was puzzling me also. The question, the answer was in my face, but how do we accept it? Because if you look at it this way, if you ask a pastor nowadays as to whom did Cain marry, the answer would be Cain married his own sister. Now you think about it, brother. Immediately there's a revulsion in your mind. That is, what is going on? What is this? The Bible starts off with a brother marrying his sister.
Game of Thrones.
Yes, yes, and I had mentioned in one of the past episodes that there is a Muslim friend of mine who left Islam and is now moving towards Buddhism. What happens is that whenever we have seen that a Muslim leaves Islam, he moves towards Buddhism or atheism, if not Christianity. Okay, we'll get into that later on. But coming back to the question, he asked me the same question a few days back. I told him he married his sister. Of course, I then elaborated and then different on. But the first thing that he said is, this is the reason why I reject filthy religion. It teaches such horrible things. Now you see, he specifically said your religion.
Yeah.
He specifically said that is the reason why I reject your filthy religion. Okay. Now,
Good point actually.
yes. So, but see, this question as to who married Cain is basically taken up by Muslims and atheists. I'll break this up into two parts.
Okay.
Muslims and atheists. Now, coming to Muslims, it's easy. So I'll take that up first. A Muslim says that from the perspective of what? To say, look at the horrible filth in the Bible. They speak such horrible things about their own people. Brother marrying her sister. Look at the Quran. It doesn't speak about all these things. Okay.
I've heard
Okay.
that. Yes.
Okay. Done. So my answer to my Muslim friends who bounce that question seemingly in a very cocksure manner is that, let me ask you, as per Quran or as per Islam, what is the modus operandi of Allah? When He created, how many did He create? Did He create Adam and Akram and Zakir and Osama and then made 4 wives each, that is 4 men and 16 women? Did He? Or did He create just 2, Adam and Eve? Now if you, by any Islamic source, only 2 are created, Adam and Eve. If that was the case, let me ask you, my brothers, whom did Cain marry? If Cain didn't marry his own sister, Then what? The generation of humans as per Islam died out after 2 generations?
Yeah, even I've heard lots of times they say that the first generation, the first people were Hazrat Adam alayhi salam and Hazrat Hawa alayhi salam. So I think it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. This is just, they don't think before speaking. Anyway, so that answers the perspective about Muslims. Now, coming up to the...
No, actually, I tell you, this is very interesting. Now, I understand, and even I believe most of you will agree that if we talk about objections from Islam, this is very well answered. But what about atheists? You mentioned your friend who turned Buddhist or very atheist, because I think Buddhism is also atheistic religion.
Yes.
So, what is their thought, or maybe what is the
perspective? Okay, now firstly, the atheistic perspective is not from the moral perspective. It is more of a scientific perspective, because it's a scientific fact, and I agree with that scientific fact, that is, if there is procreation between a very close relative such as a brother or sister, the chances of a genetic disorder is very high.
Yes, absolutely.
And looking at the genetic diversity available in the world, they do a reverse calculation on that and say anywhere close to like there are 2,000 primal pairs, not 1, 2, not 5, but 2,000 primal pairs.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So from that perspective, they say that scientifically, at least 2,000 pairs. Bible says 1 pair. That means the Bible is wrong.
Okay.
That's their perspective.
Wow. This sounds very complicated. What do you think about it?
Yes, my friend. This is the beginning. Yeah, there are just too many questions now coming in.
Actually, I tell you what. When you spoke about the science thing, there are actually many questions out of that specific thing. But I don't know if you'll be covering it further. But let's see. Okay.
Yes, brother. See, you did ask a very complicated question, and I'll try and make it as simple as possible. Okay, we'll break it up into 2 parts. One is the scientific part, the other is the biblical part.
Okay.
Alright, let's close the biblical part. What is the biblical stance? There are many scholars who believe, at this time I wouldn't like to take names, there are many scholars who believe that there were not 1 primal pair. There were many?
Okay.
Yes, I know you were surprised. There were many. There are scholars, well-known scholars who believe that. They believe that the Bible just speaks about 1 pair. But there are actually many pairs. God made many pairs. Some even believe that the other pairs didn't have a soul in them, didn't have a spirit of God. But there were other pairs.
Are you talking about like angels and...
No, humans. But multiple pairs. Okay, so let us first establish beyond a shadow of doubt, what does the Bible say? Okay, now let us see. Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 and 2.
Okay.
It speaks that Adam knew his wife, means had physical relations with his wife, and Cain was born.
Okay.
Then Abel was born. And then in Genesis chapter 5 verse 3, what do we see? We see that Adam lived for another 130 years.
Yes.
Right? When Adam was 130 years, there was, who was born? Seth.
He must be pretty old then.
No, we'll come to that. That's the beauty. He was not. Brother, then going ahead, if you see, Genesis 3 verse 20.
Yes.
Right? So when Eve was created by God, what is the meaning of Eve? Mother of all living.
Yes.
Mother of all living, not 1 or 2, all living. Right? So the entire humanity was a generation born under Eve. Okay? There is no question of another women and men around, unless you are insinuating that there are 3 men and there was 1 Eve. Alright? So, going ahead, if you look at the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45, what do we see? We see that Adam was the first living soul, first man, as per the Apostle Paul. There was nobody else besides him. Then we see in the book of Acts chapter 17 verse 26, what do we see over there? Let's just see. It says that God has made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth.
Again Paul.
Yes. Again Paul.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we see. Now the best thing I would like to quote is Romans chapter 5 verse 12, where it says that sin and death entered the world by 1 man, Adam.
Yes.
So unless you are trying to say, unless the scholars are trying to say that there are some group of people who came under Adam who are covered under sin, and there is some other group of people living somewhere else who are not under sin, the Bible unequivocally quotes, says, states, confirms and asserts that there was only one, Adam and Eve.
That was interesting, but at the same time, the Bible says, and I believe, and I trust that you also will agree with me.
Right.
Adam and Eve. Now you mentioned Seth, you mentioned Cain, you mentioned Abel.
Yes.
Or Abel.
Yes.
3 sons.
Yeah.
3 brothers.
Yes.
Now, where did it says that they married? Cain married.
Or they had a daughter.
Yeah.
So to say.
So, you mentioned the first person was Adam, from whom the nations were born, and at the same time, you also say that he had other children. Where is mentioned? Bible doesn't talks about any daughter. And how can Cain get married if there is no woman?
Excellent question. Now, let us look at Genesis chapter 5 verse 5.
Okay.
Okay?
You mentioned about 3, so I can understand this is connected.
Yes.
Okay.
Genesis chapter 5 verse 5. Adam lived for 930 years. You know how long that is? Now, what is the average lifespan? 70 years? 80 years?
I think,
Approximately. If you are lucky or rather unlucky, you'll live for 80 years or more. But if you're lucky, you'll die by 70. So,
you're living in the city.
Yes.
60? 70.
If you get run over by truck, you can story.
Maybe nearby countryside,
Yeah.
maybe 80.
If you're in Pakistan, maybe 40, 50. So, depends. So,
Yeah, of course.
Okay, now of this average lifespan of 70, what is the age in which you can typically have, be ready for procreation? It's like 30 years, maybe from 20 onwards to
21
20 to 50 something. Depends. 20
Yes.
to 50,
Yes,
something
yes.
like that, right? And this 20 to 50, what is the average childbirth? It's like 2 children, 1, 3 approximately. Some have
Nowadays
7,
that
10,
is-
depending on the nation and the religion you belong to, maybe 7, 10.
Depending on the wives, number of wives.
Depending on the number of wives, you can even have maybe 10 children, right? In what? In a span of 30 years,
Okay.
right?
Yes. Okay.
Now, Adam was 930 years, right? You must be like 30, 35. You know, when Adam, I'm sure of this, when Adam was 500 years old, he was more younger than you.
Then you. Yes.
He would be jumping over the hills and boundaries, hills and swimming in the rivers at the age of 500, maybe 600, maybe 700, I don't know. Now, Methuselah, the longest living span, 969 years. He lived the longest, 969 years, right? He is the 7th generation from Adam. If you do the calculations, Adam was alive at the time of Methuselah. 7 generations. You know anybody who's seen more than 2? No, I don't.
Maximum maybe 4 or 5. Very rare case. Maybe somebody who lived up to 100. And
Perhaps.
children got married
Very early.
on time.
Very, very early.
On time when I say when they
As soon as it became legal,
yes.
yeah. And then gave birth immediately. But he lived like, he saw Methuselah,
960.
and Methuselah's son, the 8th generation was Lamech.
Oh.
And after the birth of Lamech, if you do the calculation, Adam died. Now, if a person can have, in a 30-year lifespan, can have anywhere from 3 to 30, 3 to 10 kids in his lifespan, how many would Adam would have had? Just think about it.
I can understand that.
It could have been numerous kids, and they having numerous kids, and they having, I can even guess that maybe by the time Adam died, he may have had like maybe a family of maybe 10, 20,000 people, if not more. Even he, I'm sure, even he would look at some child walking down the street and he wouldn't even know from where he came from. Which generation and who is the father and mother, he wouldn't know. So, yes. So, but then if you read in Genesis 5:5, he had many more sons and daughters. The Bible doesn't elaborate, but it does speak about many more. Let me ask you another point, brother. Cain killed Abel?
Yes.
Genesis 4:14.
Okay.
Okay. After killing Abel, God came to chasten him and ask him, "Where is your brother?" He said, "I'm not a brother. I'm not a
very
brother's
interesting.
keeper." Right?
Before you proceed, let me
Yes.
read the verse for you.
Please.
Actually, I have it here. it says,
Yeah.
surely
Hmm.
you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground.
Right.
I shall be hidden from your face.
Hmm.
I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on earth.
Right.
And it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me.
Now the first time I read this, I was stunned. Who on earth is going to kill Cain? There is no one around. He killed his own brother.
This is amazing actually.
Think about it. Who was Cain afraid about? If there was nobody else
Of
around.
course, God has already made a judgment and he's speaking with God actually.
Yes. So he cannot speak nonsense to God.
Aaron is busy with children.
Yeah.
So is Eve.
Yes.
Abel is dead.
Yes.
There is question
Who's Cain afraid about? So Cain was definitely afraid about his other siblings. Why? There is another reason. What he says, if somebody would find me, will kill me. You know, brother, who had the right to avenge? Only a blood relative.
The very close ones.
A close blood relative. It cannot be a distant relative. It cannot be somebody you knew as a friend. That's not the way. You avenge the death of a close relative. So all the people around him were his relatives because same father and mother.
Okay.
That's why he says anyone who would find me would kill me and avenge the death of Abel.
Absolutely.
Right? Secondly, going ahead, 4 verse 16 and 17, what do you see? We see Cain knew his wife.
Oh yeah.
Cain didn't get married. Cain knew his wife, means had relations and there was a child born. Cain knew his wife. So
when we say wife, he got married, but
he got
later
married. No, not later, brother. He was chastened by God. He runs away from the presence of God. Then he knows his wife.
Oh, but he's already married then.
Exactly. He was
Okay.
already married. So at the time he killed Abel, Cain was married.
Oh,
It was not later on. Secondly, let me make it more confirmed for you. Have you ever thought? I used to get stunned by these thoughts. Verse 17, 4 verse 17, it says, Cain went and set up a town, set up a city. No, when I say city, don't think about Mumbai city or Calcutta or New York or something like that. No. It means a large settlement where people can live, like a tribe,
Yes.
live together in harmony, like a few hundred people or something. If Cain was alone, for whom did he set up a city? That was stupid. And Cain was not stupid.
Yeah.
Cain was definitely not stupid. Why did he make a town? Why did he make a city? He could have simply lived in a hole in the ground, lived out his wretched days. But the point is, he made a city for what? He made a city for his entire tribe. His own family. Why? By his children. His children, his relatives, whomsoever would want to live with Cain.
Oh, that's interesting. But at the same time,
Yes.
this is a shocking revelation.
Right.
And as per me, and as per whatever I have studied, this is absolutely a sin. Don't you think the morality is defined here? There is a morality. There are huge arguments, so many arguments, debates on morality. This is absolutely sin. Sleeping with your sister, getting married to your sister, and
Well, that's horrible. Okay, but first of all, previous point, it is closed. Cain married his sister. There is absolutely no doubt in that. Or his niece. I would put my bets on his sister. He married his own sister. But let's assume, worst case scenario, you may say he married his niece. But see, brother, even if it wasn't niece, there was some brother who got married to a sister. Where did the niece come from? So you cannot avoid that. You cannot avoid that.
13 years is like huge time.
Yeah, but even if you say Cain married his niece, where did the niece come from, brother?
Somebody.
Somebody.
Yeah, but he only.
Somebody. Forget it. But anyway, I would put my bets on Cain married his sister. That's no two ways about that. Now coming to the problem of sin. Brother, if there was only one primal pair, was there any option?
Absolutely.
What is the option plan B?
Plan A is that you told one shouting speaker who told that there were other people.
Yeah.
That could be.
Plan B. But the Bible doesn't give a plan B. There is no plan B. The Bible is very clear. One pair initially.
First man from, like you mentioned.
First man, first woman. That's it. So, first point, there is no options. Point number 2. Brother, what is sin? It means there is a commandment of God. anything that you do against the commandment of God is a sin. Can I say that?
Absolutely. I would say that.
Yes. Now, if you read, one sec, Genesis 20:12, we can go on to Genesis 24 verse 4, Genesis 28 verse 2. You know what does it speak about? Whom did Abraham marry?
His step sister.
Exactly.
Okay.
What do you mean step sister? I was stunned by this. Abraham married his sister, not his direct sister. His sister, same father, different mother. So Abraham's father, Terah was the father of Abraham. He had multiple wives. The son of one of the wife was Abraham. The son of some other wife was Sarah. Abraham married Sarah.
So basically.
So in the earlier times, there was nothing immoral or wrong in getting married to a close. There could be multiple reasons. Let me guess. First of all, if you study the life of Isaac, Jacob, they all, what was the point?
Ishmael,
you shall you shall not marry a local Canaanite. You shall go back to your father's land and get somebody from your own family, because they didn't want to marry outside their tribes. They didn't want to go outside their tribes. Now, if the tribe was small or there was nobody around from your tribe, what would you do? You would have to marry a close relative, otherwise risk your tribe getting defiled by an outsider. That was the point. Now, so in that case, what about the commandment for sin? Now, the commandment for sin didn't come until the book of Leviticus was given, chapter 18. I can give you the verses. Leviticus, one sec. Chapter 18 verse 9, 18 verse 11, 20 verse 17, and also in Deuteronomy chapter 27 verse 22. Okay. So for 1000 years, it was not really considered immoral because there were not many around. Now once this book of Leviticus was written, there were millions of them. There was no reason for them to intermarry. So once that point was established, now that you are not bound, there is enough people around, enough people from your tribe around, then the commandment came that you shall not marry a close relative. And it was so harsh, I wouldn't say harsh, so severe, that if you are found, you would be killed. It was not like you can get away with giving a peace offering. No, you would be killed. You cannot marry a close relative.
This is actually what you have spoken is actually very deep.
Thank you.
Talking about, there are a few more questions out of the same context what you have spoken about the Bible. But before I move further with the new question or the new argument, I would say, I'd like to know, like most of the readers also would like to know, you mentioned about few scientific points. I think it was primal pairs, 2000 pairs, and then you move further. We stopped because you told that you'll be completing the biblical argument first. So I have second argument ready with me, that is biblical argument. But before that, what are those scientific points?
See, first of all, I would like to mention the scientific point about why they say intermarriage is wrong. And that's what they pick about it. They say intermarriage couldn't have happened. If intermarriage had happened, then the entire descendant of Adam should have collapsed. But they survived. That means there was no intermarriage that happened. I'll explain.
Okay.
Basic human cell, DNA structure, has 19,000 pairs, 19,000 genes, which control how your body is formed.
Wow.
19,000. They are
I was not
responsible.
aware about this.
They're responsible for everything. They're responsible for everything.
What
the
do you
protein build-up.
What do you mean?
The color of your skin, the texture of your skin, the hair on your head, how thick, how colorful, how thin, the color of your eyes, how big your eyes, your eyebrows, how many teeth in your mouth,
I'm sorry.
how many tongues in your mouth, the internal structure, your nails, the type of your nails, thick, hard, broken, beautiful, whatever be the case.
So you mean to say, it's
Your entire makeup is in the genes, 19,000 of them.
Okay.
19,000 genes, alright? Now what happens is that all of these genes have some mistake somewhere. You see, somebody has a crooked jawline, slightly off. Somebody can, one eye is small, other eye is big. Cannot hear from one ear as good as what can be heard. Now most of the time, these small genetic mistakes cannot be noticed. For example,
will you call them genetic mistakes or defect?
I got your point. Defects.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I just wanted to be
mistakes. I got your point, because mistakes points as an intent at somebody doing it. Yes. I got your point.
That's what I was
yes,
saying.
I agree. Thank you for correcting me. Yes, so genetic defects. So defects are, are there in every one of them. See, a human being is supposed to be laterally half, in the sense, one half is supposed to be the exact duplicate of the other half. Yeah, but it is not the case.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are so many computer simulation programs. If I posit my left on my right to create an exact makeup of my left on the right, it will look different. Even my right onto the left, it will be different.
Really?
Yes. Yes. So, because of these genetic defects, small, okay. Maybe even in the brain there could be some parts which are more active than the other part. These are all genetic defects, small. Now, the chances of these genetic defects being the same in a brother and sister are very high, or in blood relatives is very high. Okay. So somebody has a crooked jaw, probably possibility is there his sister would also have the same gene which has a crooked jaw. Okay.
Can you say that?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody say, oh, I'm diabetic because it is hereditary. Is it something?
Possibly. So, there are multiple reasons for diabetes, but let's assume.
Not just diabetes, because nowadays anybody who gets
it could be
cardiac arrest also.
It could be autism, it could be a hole in the heart, it could be, somebody having an enlarged brain that comes out, somebody having a heart on the right hand side. So many things, right? So the chances of a sister and brother having the same genetic defect is very high. And if there is a pairing happens, that defects gets enhanced, magnified. Okay. So if your child with somebody else wouldn't have the defect because there is a 1 + 1 and 2 happening, the defects gets enhanced. So if you had maybe 1 or 2 genes that pointed towards autism, I'm just giving an example. Okay, and so maybe your sister also had that same 1 or 2 genes pointing towards autism. So if they come together, the chances of the child having autism is very high.
Let me understand this correctly.
Yeah.
You have a Rubik's Cube with all squares in yellow, 1 square in white.
Yes.
There's another Rubik's Cube, all square in yellow, 1 square in white.
Yes.
Third, same pattern, and fourth is same pattern.
Yes.
So you mean to say is, when all these 4 are met together, the white will remain white. It will not be fulfilled with another yellow.
No.
Okay.
They get magnified.
This might be a bad analogy.
No. I got your point, but the defects gets magnified. But on the other hand, if they are not,
are enhanced also.
Are enhanced, and there is a chances of coming true. Now, if the pairs are different, so the girl is from one family, the boy is from a different family, so maybe the boy has a defect of maybe a few autism parts, and maybe the girl has a defect of maybe something in the eye, in the left eye, let's assume. Now, because they came together, those mistakes are still small, and there is a possibility that in the next generation, those defects that get straightened out. Okay, but if, like you can see that in the royal family in England, there was a lot of inbreeding happening.
Yes, I have heard about it.
Yes. So because of the inbreeding, their children had horrible deformities, which gets magnified with more generations. Okay. So what the scientists say is that because of such genetic disorders, what happens is that
siblings should not.
So if Adam and Eve siblings children got married together, the descendants couldn't have survived because the genetic mistakes would have really enhanced and would have really corrupted and killed them.
No, but you just mentioned that the siblings got married. So don't you think that their children should be either autistic or handicapped?
See, read Genesis chapter 1 verse 31.
Okay.
Now in Genesis chapter 1 verse 31, when Adam actually gets made by God, what does God say? God saw him and said that it is good. So in the word of God, when God says it is good, it actually means he was perfect. His body had absolutely not a shred, there was not a cell in his body, there was not a single gene in his body which was bad. Everything was good. Everything was brilliant. Same goes for Eve. So brother, there was nothing, there was no, this is good. What do you mean? God said this is good. So when those two, there was sin, there was no defect in the genes, there was nothing to get magnified. Now because of the fall, because of the curse, after stepping out from Eden, slowly the corruption seeped into their body.
Yeah, you mentioned 1,000. So
After 1,000 years,
okay,
right?
now makes sense.
The genetic defects started.
Actually, I was telling you that
Yeah.
I have more questions, but I should not move on from the topic. So actually, this was a question.
Yes.
I said, why after 1,000 years?
Yes.
Okay.
So Adam, Eve was perfect, Cain, Abel was perfect, their bodies were perfect. I mean, their children bodies were perfect until the corruption caused by the fall really started seeping in, and you can see this, brother. You can see the lifespans dropping. By the time of Joseph, it had come down to 120.
Oh yes.
By the time of Joseph, like almost 800, almost 1,000 years, more than 1,000 years
I want
after
to discuss with you
Yeah.
the lifespan of Adam and Abraham, but I think that could be a topic for some other day. But just wanted to keep you posted.
So maybe like 1,500 years, 2,000 years, something after that. By the time of Joseph, what happens? The lifespan is 120.
Yes, I remember.
Everything,
Sarah died at 127.
Something. Abraham was like 140, something like that.
So Isaac died on his time. Yeah.
Full of age.
Yes.
It was written full of age. And Adam died full of age. So the definition of full of age for Adam was 930. Definition of Adam death for Moses was 120. Definition of full of age for Abraham was 140.
What was the age of Lamech?
Oh, I don't remember that. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Yes. So anyway, that was it.
Wow. I'm all brimming with questions.
Okay.
First of all, I want to tell you, I had lots of questions about the science. With regards to lots of people say, what is science? I think this is very important for us to learn.
Yes.
But since we are falling short of time, I'm so sorry to say that we have to say bye today.
Okay.
But nevertheless, we are going to
record the second part now. So we'll see us in the same clothes again. So
hopefully, maybe not.
Ready to go?
Maybe not. So maybe we'll record some other day. But we want to say we really appreciate your patience for listening to us. Thank you so much for subscribing to us and writing to us. Your feedbacks mean a lot to us. Your feedbacks and your messages and your emails, they are absolutely amazing, and we are so encouraged by them. And nevertheless, I want to say that you keep writing to us, and our email address. You can see on the screen. It's readytosakshi@gmail.com. For who are listening on audio, it is READY number 2, that's numeric 2, SAKSHI@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And for the viewers who are watching us, you can see the email address on our screen. And also, like brother, you were mentioning about, I also questioned you about Adam to Lamech, the age gap. I was saying that I want to know what is the age difference, etc. So you had written one article, if you remember, Adam in the name of.
Yeah.
I remember that, so I wanted to bring this.
Okay.
I should not forget. So this is a very interesting article. Actually, we have posted this earlier on the Sakshi website.
Right.
But we have our Facebook page, that is www.facebook.com/readytosakshi. You can see on the screen, and you can also find the link on our YouTube description. So just visit the page. We'll definitely be posting along with this. Video will be posting that article. Just go through it. It is definitely an interesting read. So, anyways, the time is gone, and we have to say bye.
Yes.
And it was an interesting episode, and we'll be back with more science. And I think this science is very important for us to understand, because this is your field.
Right.
And I remember I learned lots of things from you.
Thank you.
Cold-blooded animals, and topic for some other day. So thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned for our next episode. Till the time, take care. Bye bye. God bless.
Take care.